I do think Ilia should fight Paddy next. It's already been started. Now let's break down some of the minutia of this because there is a lot of minutia here. Apparently,
Minutia mean.
minutia means there's like a lot of stuff like behind it that like what meets the eye, but then
Yeah,
there's a lot of inner workings behind it.
got you. Okay, okay.
So a lot of the inner workings behind it is like, let's start it off from the beginning of it. Paddy, when he got the microphone, they're saying Joe Rogan made a little bit of a mistake. They're saying that Joe Rogan kind of pushed the Paddy Pimblett fight, and Ilia called out Armon or something like that. Now, I do see what they're saying because I replayed it, right? And the thing that pisses me off is I replayed it on YouTube and they blanked out the swearing. And I think
Mm.
the part where he was cussing, he was calling out Paddy. But the part where he didn't cuss, he actually was calling out Armon because he was cussing, saying like, you got this guy, beep, beep, beep. And then he's like, and then you got this guy who can't make weight because of his back issue.
I remember that.
So I'm ready for anybody, whoever. That's how
That.
Ilia said it, whoever. And the guy
Right.
with the back issue is Armon because he pulled out of the fight. And so Joe basically kind of like, the Armon thing skipped his mind. And so Joe was like, you're talking about Paddy? So Joe gave Paddy that shine. Joe kind of should have been more fair, but Joe's thirsting for that Paddy fight low key. That's what came out there. So yeah, Joe kind of pushed the Paddy thing, brought Paddy in the cage. Fast forward, right? They face off, a little bit of a push that Ilia does to Paddy. Then you go to the post-fight press conference, and Dana shuts it down.
Mm.
Now, fast forward a little bit because I watch everything.
Thank you,
Dana,
Dana, for showing up.
yeah, shout out to Dana for showing up. Dana, though, when he shut it down, here's my thing. Give me like 2 minutes just to break this all down.
Yeah, go
So on the post-fight presser, Dana said he denied everybody. He denied Gaethje, right? He called Gaethje's demand for a title shot wacky. And to be honest, he said about Armon, he said when they asked, is Armon in good steps with the UFC? Is he in good graces now? He says it's a step in the right direction. It's not about being, it's not about getting in good graces. It's about the fact that you left us high and dry for a main event. You know what I mean? That we had already sold tickets for with your name on it.
Mm.
And so basically he said it's a step in the right direction. Now, a step in the right direction by no means you're getting the fucking title shot. It means you still have work to do. So he denies Justin and Armon. And then with Paddy, he talks shit on the face-off. But here's the thing. I think Dana White is down with the fight. I think that it got misconstrued. Because Dana explained why he didn't like that face-off. And basically he said, Paddy and Ilia shouldn't have faced off, number one, because Ilia's family was in there. So he has his wife and kid in there. And then you see how it resulted in a push. So Dana's kind of just using hindsight, being like, see, it resulted in a push. I don't like that shit with the family in there because it could have gotten even more nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. And then number two.
Something they couldn't control.
Right. It could have broken out into something like that. And then number two, I think what it was is that Dana, oh, I had the other one. Dana with the wife and kid with the face off. Oh, and then it was just a big moment for Ilia. He had won his second belt in his second division. So it's a crowning achievement that honestly doesn't need to be cluttered with the face off with Paddy. He should just be celebrated in that moment. Because if you look after the face off, the post-fight interview ended. Joe just basically said, congrats to Ilia, enjoy your win. And Ilia's like, thanks, let me go celebrate now. So it did kind of kill Ilia's moment of like speaking about the accomplishment because right after that, he said these two guys' names and then Joe brought Paddy in. So I think Dana's down with the fight, but he was just saying it was kind of like, it kind of went beyond his business practice in a way. He wouldn't have ran it that way, but it doesn't mean that he's not down for the fight. So all of the three, it seems like he's most down with Paddy. He just kind of didn't like how Paddy came in the cage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you my initial reaction.
Sure.
Remember when they had Sean O'Malley waiting for Aljo?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that time, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, when did the UFC start doing this? Like this WWE side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I cringed when I first watched it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is like, nah, dude, like don't do that. Let him have his time to shine. You could do that after the fact. Fast forward to how I think today. I love it.
You love the face-offs.
I love that they brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
B, why wasn't Dana in the cage? Where were you running off to?
That's what I was saying too. I guess I question it, so let me answer to it real quickly. I was kind of saying Dana, like, stay in there, but I think maybe he didn't want to get caught up in the traffic on the way out of the octagon.
That shouldn't matter. That should be neither here nor there.
That's my defense to Dana.
B, you're the one playing the maestro for all this shit.
The Vince McMahon.
At the end of the day, that's who we're seeing. It's not Hunter. It's not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's not running the UFC. Joe Rogan is your guys' employee. He's a commentator.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the fucking puppet master fucking playing matchmaker. That's Hunter's job, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
So if you don't want that to happen, be in there. Be on the control everything. Don't play dumb after the fact. Like, oh, I don't want this. Nah, I didn't agree. I didn't agree with.
Especially when you know you got those 3 dudes standing out there. You got Gaethje, you got Armand, and Paddy, and you're just gonna walk away. Like, if you should have some kind of inkling that somebody's gonna face off.
And so like I said, I go back to the Aljo Sean O'Malley one. I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is what the UFC is doing now. They're facing people off right after the fight. I thought it was a little disrespectful. I thought it was distasteful. I was like, oh, the UFC is better than that. They don't need to do all that. They don't need to muddy that. But then this is where it's going, though. It's a WWE style thing.
Definitely.
They could sell the fight. They could use that footage when Sean Strickland and DDP got into it. Remember? They could sell they immediately fucking B-rolled that motherfucker.
Right.
Okay,
especially in today's generation with all the cameras, with all of us reposting it.
Right.
You know, you almost have to.
And so here's the thing too. So like, I knew it wasn't so like premeditated because Paddy was all like, me? You want me? You could tell, you want me? They didn't have a road for him to go in there. He had to jump and so he wasn't like on standby, like, hey, they're about to let you in. Hey, they're about to go. They're about to say your name. So it was a lot of, I saw impromptu things that were happening, but they did love it.
Oh yeah, it worked out great, and like honestly, shout out to Joe Rogan on that one. But you could tell that it was kind of an impromptu thing. It was like really improvised. Even starting with Ilia's call out, how Paddy kind of went in there. But too, you know, they were putting all the cameras on Paddy after that. Like it seemed like they were angling it towards Paddy, and Joe kind of saw like, okay, I see all the cameras on Paddy, like, you know what I mean? So I think it was also planting the seed in Joe's mind. That's why when he heard Ilia maybe call for Paddy, he was like, all right, yeah, like let's get Paddy in here, because they're putting the cameras on Paddy. It almost kind of like coerced Joe into pushing it.